Aren't those the same brooding eyes, coated with layers of eye makeup and kohl, staring nonchalant at the dim, phony surroundings? Aren't those the same soft, feminine cheeks, the pouted lips, resting beneath the cheap, lousy makeup, faintly spelling out an untold story which might never come out of her closet unguarded? Putul, is it you? How are you? How are you, Putul? I almost shout, my vain voice stumbling over the mad mirth and revelry of the evening, trying to walk a few more steps closer to where she sat. Putul! I wave at her and try to come even more close. I watch her look around, following the cues of my voice and giving me a cold, barren stare for once before looking away. The man accompanying her flirts with her nimble fingers, her torso bent against him in an unabashed surrender. A minute or two. I keep staring at her as she dwindles in his broad arms, I suspect, under the spell of a strong alcoholic beverage. My eyes sting as I follow them surreptitiously like a creepy apparition. The man shoves her body with inordinate care and takes her along, away from the cozy booth where they sat and frolicked, away from the bustling bar, and walks out with her, staggering in the neon-lit lanes. Yes, I will be done within a couple of hours. Give me a call back when you reach the hotel, and then you can pick us up. The man flashes a nuanced smile, attending a call on his cell phone, while with another hand he grabs the young woman's arms, inhaling deeply into the creases and folds of her tight, body-hugging shirt. Reena, hey, wake up now, baby. We are nearing the hotel, you see? I sense him utter in her smudged ears. I forget where I should have been by now. I forget where I am headed to, and in a frenzied zeal of discovery, I start following their trail as the man leads her surrendering body to the dim lights of the plaza that ends at a nearby 4-star hotel. Within minutes, they get lost in the labyrinths leading to the lounge, and then, I know, to the forbidden, paid momentary pleasures of the plush hotel room that the man must have booked to nibble her, chew on her like sumptuous feast. I run, the color and the euphoria around fading in my eyes, dangling in front of me like a monochrome landscape. I falter a number of times, trampling over the droning voices of fleshless street urchins and ebony emaciated beggar kids. There, in the ground that I tread now, teardrops have trickled down the cheeks of cheap, phony prostitutes, whose meandering ways have been too easy to condemn, whose sultry tales have been too hard to gulp down. My palms wipe my truant tears, a frail moment of surrendering to the volatile tides of homecoming. 5 years it has been. 5 truant yet cajoling New Year Eves since Bhaskar, my old flame, that tall, lanky guitarist guy, had spurred me on to my surrendering in that same booth inside Trinka's, where another Putul, another Reena, smolders and burns today. Is it the same way how I had burnt years back, in hope of a heady, adventurous voyage of love, in hope of a home, in hope of a pure, glorious bed someday? Do my tears have the same salt that have made theirs? Do my yearnings have the same wrinkles, the same stretch marks, the same glory, the same sin? Young, gleeful, makeup-laden faces giggle, peer over each other in the lush, comforting zone of flurries, gorging on the buttery cakes and chocolate pastries. The warm embrace of the posh bakery adorns their saliva, and they lose themselves in the wintry fog of their smudged conversations. I sit, hunched in a corner, burning in those familiar tunes, yet a few light years away from the idyllic cacophony. The bus stop, the burst and cackle of bodies wave at me from a few yards away. I know I have a destination for now, a towering hospital building at the farthest end where these deceptive silken lights melt and drown, a general cabin where a once noisy father stares, wordless now, lying prostrate in an overused patient bed, benumbed into a dysfunctional reality. The dark, chocolatey crumbs of the Black Forest cake of flurries melt in my hungry mouth, and a freshly lit incense of a guileless childhood returns. A childhood where the father brought in our suburban home heavenly slices of the same cake, culinary delights from the same bakery shop, and wove stories of the opulence of the New Year Eve party in Park Hotel, where he would join his colleagues, get drunk at their insistence, and return home with a hangover he would be unwilling to admit. How are you feeling today, Baba? Any better? I enter the room he is in now, overlooking the window, from which he stares at the silhouettes of the vast expanse outside. He nods, in half acceptance, half denial, as always, since he has been on the rehab session of the neurology unit, hanging vicariously in the thin rope of a diminishing memory. Do you remember the date? It is the 31st December, the New Year's Eve. You should have seen the lights of Park Street today. Such a sight. I see the glimmering streaks of a faint remembrance pushing the boundaries of his dementia-affected brain. He smiles and winks at me like a child. Now, be a good boy and eat a slice of this cake I bought for you. Remember flurries? What does it taste like? I gaze at his moist eyes and wipe off his tear-laden cheeks while I do all the talking in the somber hospital room. I fill his mouth with small crumbs of the cake, one little spoon at a time, and wait for his brain to convey its aroma, its essence, the fleeting atoms of its memories. See how you smile? You do remember having it before, right? Can you say Happy New Year loud and clear? Say Happy New Year. Happy New Year. His feeble, jittery voice reverberates in the room, cutting through the raw wounds, the rough-hewn edges of a frail, long-lost childhood, swaying in the arid air between us. Happy New Year is the only coherent phrase he can utter. For now, while swaying his head in the warm, monitored confines of the hospital room, I can feel him silently questioning the year, the happenings around, the years that have passed in between. The grey clouds of anger, the making up, the losses, and the revival that he had chased for all those years have dispersed. What remains is a tiny blob of a moment in time. 7 more days, I think, and you can take him back home with some medicines. Don't forget to continue the restorative therapies. As I had said before, Dementia is an incurable disease. Try treating him like you treat a young toddler. Take one day at a time. And yes, Happy New Year! Go and celebrate. Dr. Abir Roy, the young muscular neurotherapist, squeezes my hands as we stand close to the elevator and share meaningful glances, those of empathy and the hint of a reassuring love, waiting to eclipse me if I ever respond to it willingly. You have my number, right? Hope you will keep in touch once you take him back home. I will wait. His parting words slice through the cold silence of the hospital and linger in my head. I meander in the streets, looking for a cab that will drive me back further north to an empty, hollow home.